Jaya Kopidana Jaya Girivardhari. Yes, Lord. Yamuna Tira Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabihari.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I welcome everyone for today's program. We are very fortunate to have with us today His Holiness Bhakti prabhava Swami Maharaj. He was initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, and he has served various positions in ISKCON, including European RGB and the Global GBC body. Maharaj has earned master's and a PhD in study of religion. He teaches Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav courses. We are very happy to welcome Maharaj today. Let us say 3 times Haribol to welcome Maharaj. Hari.
Very happy to be with you this evening. That, it's my first time in Charlotte, but although I was in transit sometimes in the airport, otherwise I've not been here. But so it's my pleasure to be with you. And so this evening we will speak about the chanting of the holy name. Someone also sometimes chants Hare Krishna, the holy name. Yeah, not alone.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody. Because that well, I wrote a book on it. Japa Ananda, the bliss of chanting, and this is a proof print.
Oh, okay.
I gave the last comments to the layout man, and the printer will be printed in a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
But I never intended to write a book. But it started with giving seminars on Harinama Chintamani and Madhurya Kalambini and related to the chanting of the holy name. And I'm teaching for many years the Bhakti Vedanta course. One of my brilliant students, and she's from North America, she's from here, that is Prabhupada Priya Mataji. That she was my student, and I guided her in the writing of her Bhakti Vedanta thesis. And the Bhakti Vedanta thesis was about the Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name, everything in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the holy name. So we worked together on that thesis. And then I was thinking, I was started also giving seminars on it, seminar materials. Why not putting it together in a book? And that's how this came about. But I will discuss a few parts of the book that so mostly I will speak on Harinam Chintamani. Who knows what Harinam Chintamani is? That who wrote it?
Bhakti Vedanta.
Bhakti Thakur. It is in the form of a samvad, a dialogue between Haridas Thakur and Sid Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote Harinam Chintamani in the year 1900. That Prabhupada was already born. That interesting. That but it gives us practical insights into the chanting of the holy name. Okay, that's introduction. Now, before I start, I will pray for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. You can pray together with me. You know the prayer probably. Om Ajnana Nandasya Jananjana Pramakaya Chakshurmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishram Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaram Prakamayam Dadati Swapadantika Vande Shri Guru Shri Uddhavanagama Shri Guru Vaishnavamsam Shri Rupam Shakchatam Sagamatam Tam Tam Saripam Satvaitam Sabdutam Parijanam Savitam Shri Shashanatayam Shri Krishna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Goresha Kodika Mastule Tapta Kanchan Gorangi Tavareshwari Vidravano Sute Pamami Hari Priya Panchaka Patarubhyasha Kripa Sindhu Yayacha Padita Padavyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Sivasati Yoga Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Bhakti Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishes Namaste Bhakti Srila Prabhupada ki. So Haridas Thakur, he writes in Harinam Chintamani, there are 3 stages in the chanting of the holy name. Who knows these 3 stages? What?
Nama Prat, Nama Bhas, and Shuddhanam.
That, and in English,
Offensive chanting.
offensive chanting, apparaat,
Yeah. Then Namabhas.
is the clearing stage.
Offenseless. Offenseless state. Then the pure state. Pure
Stage.
Yeah, Shuddha.
That what happens when you chant in apparat? In apparat stage, you chant holy name. What's the effect of the holy name?
It still purifies your heart. No? Not much. Yeah. Slow and
Not
yeah.
practically not in the apparat state. Apparat, what does apparat mean? Apparada, above rada. Offense, verderaan, is not good.
Yeah.
Are you going to become purified then? No. That a bit, but very slow. It takes many lifetimes before you get purified. And because the holy name is Krishna. Holy name has unlimited power, but that power will only manifest to you if you give up these offenses. That so if one overcomes, how does one overcome the offensive stage?
Following the factors. Hearing.
What are the offenses?
Like first know the offenses and then try to avoid them.
10 offenses
Yeah.
against the holy name. If we commit these offenses, then we are in apparat, right? That offensive stage. That, and then the power of the holy name does not manifest. But how do you overcome these offenses? By giving up these offenses. And later I speak about the 10 defenses. That offense, that's another thing. That and even if you overcome the offenses, is your heart becoming purified? If you overcome the offense,
Very slow.
then you must still chant with attention. You don't chant with attention, not much happens. Who are we? The spirit soul, right? That was a symptom of the spirit soul. How do we know the soul is in the body?
White section. White section.
Is that a tricky question?
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Yes, consciousness. That so one devotee said to another, "You were not in the Bhagavatam class this morning." And the other devotee said, yes, I was sitting there out at the back. And the other devotee said, yes, I saw your body was there, but your mind was not there. Your consciousness was not there. That's it. The same with the holy name. Attentively. And if we give up these offenses and we chant attentively, then that the power of the holy name will manifest, but only partially. What is the effect if you come to the clearing stage, the namabhas? You give up the offenses, you start to chant with attention. What's happening in the clearing stage? The heart becomes purified. Anarthas start to go. That So what's the effect of chanting in apparat? Not much.
Not
What's the effect in namabas?
cleansing and
Cleansing the heart. Do you develop love of God in namabas? No.
No.
The effect is
cleansing.
cleaning the heart. And that- it's namabas. It's like that in the morning you go from the darkness of night to a cloudy dawn and you start to see things but not clearly. That so the power of the Son of the Holy Name is not yet visible. That but it becomes clearly manifest. In the daylight, we see everything very clearly. In the state of namabas, things are seen as they are. That so when this purification of the heart has ended, then one attains liberation, nishta. After anartha and everything, the nishta, liberation. It's not self-realization, it's liberation. That freedom from suffering. That but if you are chanting in namabas, how do you know you are in namabas? What's a symptom in namabas? That in how do you know whether you chant in apparat or in namabas?
We start seeing those 8 effects of Chetodarpan Marjanam and
Yeah, that's the nice theory behind it, yes. But practically, nobody knows.
like we feel good, we feel some kind of
We chant more than 16 hours.
You have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we chant and we feel good, yes. Does that mean Krishna is pleased if you're chanting? No, it's a feeling in the mind that feels good. It's egoistic. I chant so to feel good. No. If you chant, you're chanting is a service to Krishna. And Krishna must feel good. And what's happening with your heart when Krishna feels good, if you're chanting? Nobody knows.
joyful.
Yeah, coming to that point. Your taste increases for chanting. You want to chant more, your taste increases. Then you are in namabas. If your taste does not increase, you are in apparat. That, the stage of purification is anartha. That then all these undesirable material cravings are removed from the heart. So that's a clearing stage. And that leads to the purification of the heart. And that brings us to the full power of the holy name, a stage of Suddha Nam. So when we chant in Namabas or the clearing stage, what's the effect of the holy name?
Cleaning.
Cleaning, yeah.
Test develops.
Yeah.
Starts to develop.
Yeah, that's a symptom, but what's happening is our material attachment.
Attachments are gone.
And when we chant in Sudanam, what's the effect of the holy name?
So, Rema.
You start to develop love
Prem,
for God.
love for God.
First great attraction, Ruchi, Sakti,
Sakti, Prem.
Bhava, Prema. So there is a progress from apara to nama bas, and that from offensive chanting to the clearing stage. And for this one must give up all these offenses in the chanting. That, that's, but giving up maybe the 10 offenses goes hand in hand with surrender. What does surrendering means? Surrender to Krishna. I remember my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Maharaj. He said it very simple. Surrender to Krishna means that you surrender to Krishna and let him take care of you. That, so that's the meaning of surrender, saranagati, taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. So Lord Krishna will take care of us to the extent that we are surrendered. That, but sometimes, the devotee says, I'm chanting for so many years and I feel nothing is happening. So once Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj he was the spiritual master of Prabhupada, of course. He was outside his room at the temple. Well, he was working in his room, and outside his room, some disciples were there and they were discussing something. And then Saraswati Maharaj came out of his room and asked, what are you discussing? So one disciple said, Guru Maharaj, for many years I've been chanting the holy names, but yet I feel I'm not making progress. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj replied, to feel that you are not progressing is good. When we think we are progressing, that we have become a great devotee, that's a very dangerous attitude. But of course, it's devotees ask Prabhupada, because thinking, it said thinking that you have become a great devotee is very dangerous. So we should think low fallen, right? But you cannot imitate that. Someone said to Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Prabhupada replied, you are not the most of anything. It's just false evil. So I'm going to show I'm a great devotee, so I'm fallen. Look how fallen I am. How great, how fallen. But then another time a devotee said, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen. And Prabhupada replied, yes, and what are you going to do about it? So if we are feeling we are not making progress at all, and there's nothing happening, then we must question ourselves, to what extent have I surrendered? So to the extent that we are surrendered to Krishna, Krishna will take care of us. I hear Bhakti Maharaj saying, when Maya attacks us, it is due to our deficiency in devotional service. If we succumb to Maya's onslaught, it is our fault, because we have not submitted fully, we are not fully surrendered, and therefore the illusory energy bewilders us. But when we are fully surrendered to Krishna, then Maya also comes to test our devotion. But by the mercy of Krishna, a devotee always passes those tests. So when Maya comes, it is Krishna testing us. Maya is testing us how serious we have become in our devotion. That so yes, we must surrender. That it means surrender means we must give up the body concept of life. That body concept of life means we are seeking sense gratification. But Srila Prabhupada says that liberation or renunciation is of two kinds, negative and positive. That's what Prabhupada said. Because when Bhakti Maharaj was with Prabhupada in the last months that he was with us, then he was taking care of Prabhupada day and night, but Prabhupada could not sleep. And at night they had a lot of talks. And Prabhupada in these talks explains there are two kinds of liberation, negative and positive. That so negative is liberation is when a prisoner thinks escaping the prison does the goal of life. And he digs a tunnel or scales the wall, what way he can, he tries to get out of the prison. But when he gets out of the prison, is he free? No. The police may pursue him. That's negative liberation, Prabhupada said. But Prabhupada said there is also positive liberation. And that's the real way to get free from the prison. The prisoner enters the prison and he makes an appeal to the king and says to the king, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I promise I will never make such a mistake again. I surrender to you and I will simply serve you and abide by your laws. Then the king may say, all right, release him, but probably the king may not release him straight away. After receiving the appeal, he may send a message to the prison authorities. He says, this prisoner has appealed. Please watch his behavior, how he's doing. And the prison authorities then observe him and treat him in a special way. That although he's in the prison, he's not really treated as a prisoner. And when they see that he's acting properly, they tell the other prisoners, look, this is a role model. Follow him and you will also be nicely treated. That behave like him, you will get the same facilities. But then when the king receives a report that he's behaving well, the king thinks, I need a good servant. Then the king says, send him to my palace. So Prabhupada said that's positive liberation. From the prison to the king's palace. While he's in prison, he's not treated as a prisoner, but in a special way. So that is why the ultimate goal of life is surrender to Krishna. Just like a child does not know what is for his benefit, but the parents, they do. So when we surrender to Krishna, everything what's happening, good or bad, is for our benefit. Yeah. I remember 15 years ago, I was in big trouble. And I wrote an email to Bhakti Charamaj about what happened. Just, I'm in trouble. And then I wrote this email, and 10 minutes later, I had him on the phone. He phoned me 10 minutes later. That anyway, but he told me at that moment, that's the instruction he gave me. Everything what happens in your life, good or bad, is a mercy of Krishna. That is the lesson we have to learn. So as such, everything what happens to me is for benefit. And Krishna knows what is for our benefit, even if we don't know. So when a child is submissive to capable parents, the parents they make wonderful arrangements for the child. So when we surrender to Krishna, Krishna will take care of us. So as a surrendered devotee, a devotee accepts suffering as Krishna's loving hand correcting us. At least that was the realization of Brahma when he was praying his prayer, where he said, yeah, the best course of action is to endure the reactions of our past misdeeds. So a devotee does not become jubilant in happiness or in distress. We have the story of the Avanti Brahman, the Brahman from Ujjain.
Yeah.
That he was and he tolerated all disturbances. It tolerated harsh words, offenses created by malicious people. But he considered all these things just a reaction to his own past misdeeds, and he tolerated them without becoming angry. That Avanta Brahman has been a merchant, a businessman. In his life, he was very greedy, miserly, and easily angered. He denied his servants and his family any enjoyment, so they all became unaffectionate towards him. And at a certain moment, by providence, thieves' family members suddenly took everything away. At that moment, Avanti Brahman realized that these are my own reactions. And he developed a deep sense of renunciation. That he understood striving for wealth. He had been striving for wealth, great effort, and the only result was anxiety, confusion. So he wanted to get wealth. But what did he get? He said he realized I got 15 things that I did not want. I committed thievery, violence, I was lying, I was deceptive. I developed lust, anger, pride, feverishness, quarrel, hatred, distrust, conflict, attachment to women, gambling, and intoxication. So he understood that the Lord had been very merciful to him. And by that caused a deep detachment in his heart. By that he accepted sannyas. And he would enter villages to beg charity, but the people treated him impolitely because of his reaction of his previous life. He tolerated everything, and he remained fixed in his spiritual practice. That's we find in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. That's because this one verse is called the Sannyas mantra. Tassa Astaya Paratministamatyam Provatamel Marshipyam Tarisham Plantudaram Tamo Makundangin Seva Shevat. That this verse says, whatever it takes, I will tolerate everything. I will cross over the mountain of birth, death, old age, and disease, and take shelter at the lotus feet of Kunda. So the Lord explains that he arranges suffering for his devotees so that they can become purified of all material attachments and learn to depend on him. This is what Prabhupada writes in his commentary there. Therefore, it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee, breaks the family affection by force of circumstances, arranging by all his powerful energy. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him, thus clears the path of his going back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gives the following reasons why that someone whose all his wealth is taken away, why is fortunate. So such material assets are products of the three modes of material nature. They foil cloud the spiritual energy, and thus the less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. But the main lesson to learn here is surrender means not becoming affected of happiness and distress. But surrender becomes natural when we know who Krishna is. Therefore, it's so important to hear about Krishna. Was the first effect of hearing about Krishna. You realize I'm not Krishna. Krishna is the controller. I'm not the controller. That because being false ego means we think of the controller. That so these 10 offenses, they are fueled by false ego. That's the first thing we need to understand. The false ego of identifying ourselves with the gross and subtle body. And when we have false ego, we become servants of the senses that trying to get sense gratification for a temporary body, which we are not. And what is the result? Unsatisfying, miserable. That so that we have to stop our bodily, to put our bodily and mentally urges in the center. That unless we stop doing that, we cannot make spiritual progress. Because that's completely different from spiritual life. That material life is an exploitive mentality. I'm going to control. Bhagavad Gita, the 13th chapter is called Bhakti Bhagati Jangana. Bhakti, enjoying material nature. That is, and that is completely opposed of serving Krishna. That it's completely opposed to self-realization. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who lives only for the satisfaction of the senses, he lives in vain for nothing, for the body. That, so the first thing is to chant the holy name successfully. Avoid these offenses. One must identify himself as the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Gopi Bhakta Kamalayo Das. Someone is disconnected. Spiritual life means to connect. To connect. That, like the iPhone, a lot of apps.
Yeah.
They work only when connected to the internet. Otherwise, you cannot do anything.
They are all dead.
Similarly, we must be connected with Krishna. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that we have to become a Mahatma. Atmanam Tamam Parta Devim Prakatyasya. Mahatma knows how to connect with the spiritual energy. Take shelter of the spiritual energy. And you can only connect with Krishna if you know your identity. If you think you are the body, you must realize I'm not a body, a soul, but that's not sufficient. Then you have to know who you are. Ja, maar mij van Shilchi Veluke Shiva Buddhas now, little spark, 1/10,000 of a point of the hair, not much, very insignificant. But soul is very powerful. But it gets its power fully when it's connected to Krishna. And so we must understand the spiritual position of the soul. Therefore, we must remove this misidentification with the body. What makes us misidentify with the body? These are the anarthas. Anarthas make us. And therefore, to start that process, one must accept the spiritual master. And hear from the spiritual master, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is, who is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita? Krishna. And what is Bhagavatam about?
Krishna.
It's about Krishna. That's because that by hearing about Krishna, we come to realize we are insignificant parts of him. And our happiness lies in taking shelter of this spiritual energy, divine energy through devotional service. This is very important. It's called Sambandha Gyan. Haridas Thakur says that to chant in Namabhas means chanting with Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. So there's three aspects: knowing who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. So that so and we will come to that. But if you chant thinking yourself a servant of Krishna, then the purification of the body, mind, and senses will begin. That because you're chanting, Rupa Swami said that the chanting is a service we render to Krishna with the tongue. That is important. That so the more we become purified, the more taste we get, the more happier we become, and the more satisfied we become. There is happiness of the body, but happiness of the soul. Happiness of the soul you cannot get when you strive for the happiness of the body. That, but that happiness comes when we come in Namavas. That you start to feel satisfied with it. That's a feeling of satisfaction. If you come to Pseudonam, you chant the holy name, you feel ecstasy. That's not from this world. And that's not an experience in the mind. But that's an experience coming from the soul with all its symptoms. So we must engage in paradharma. That it said Savaipum Saproda Dharmo Yatu Bhakti Adokshe Ahait Kapatiyata Yatma Shupashil. The highest occupation for all humans is engaging in devotional service to Adoksaya, who cannot be perceived by material senses. But that service, to be spiritual and effective, must be unbroken and without any material motive, just to please Krishna. And then Yayat Ashubhashita, it gives great satisfaction in the heart. The conditioned state of misidentifying with the body is unnatural. Once Prabhupada made a morning walk in one of the parks here in North America, and it was the temperatures were minus that, so it was freezing outside. And he came in the park at a frozen puddle, water, but it was frozen. And he took his cane and he started to break the ice with his cane. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was walking with him, said, Prabhupada, what are you doing? And Prabhupada continued breaking the ice and said, this is not the normal condition of the water. He said, similarly, this is not our normal condition. We are like a fish on the land. That the only way to rectify this is becoming fixed in devotional service. Become a sthitadi, fixed in Krishna consciousness. Goes in the Bhagavatam, we find different sthita prajna devotees who were fixed in devotional service, like Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was arrested by Garuda with the ropes of Varuna. That, but he remained fixed in his determination. A pure devotee never deviates from the Lord's service, despite so many impediments by the illusory energy. He's not disturbed by any loss, and he continues his service in all circumstances. That was Bali Maharaj, fully surrendered. That, and by that he got the Lord's protection. that Bhagavad Gita, the state of the harmony is mentioned, stage of steady mind, and undisturbed mind in all circumstances, in happiness and distress, that is free from attachment, fear, and anger. That how would that raise the question what we was? How can we become absolutely devoted to Krishna's service? That is achieved through anartha nivritti, the purification of the heart, that giving up this habit of unnecessary sense gratification. That so we may have many material desires, but the desire to become Krishna conscious must be stronger. That's the point. It must be stronger. That then yes, because if we have spiritual intelligence, we understand this happiness and distress. That is this verse in first canto, chapter 5, that when Narada Muni says to Srila Vyasadeva, one must not strive for this happiness of the body. It will come on its own accord. Like distress comes on its own accord. We don't want it, but it comes. Therefore, so don't seek for that happiness and distress of the body. You seek for, try to get that what is available, not from the lowest to the highest planet. And that's Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita, the first instruction is said, Matra spashta kanti asitasnasya kadukada kama prine natyastam statiksas kavat. You must tolerate happiness and distress, like heat in the summer, cold in the winter. Yamina vyotatante purusham parashashapa agama prine natyas. Samdukas kamsi tam somi tatchpaya kalpate. If you can do it, you are ready for liberation. Liberation is nishta. We have to go to anartha nivritti. So this happiness and distress comes. Sometimes so many difficulties. About that, let the dogs bark, the caravan will pass. The caravan passes and the dog is barking. But it will pass anyway. Anyway, that, yeah. So gradually we become detached from illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating, that. And we get more and more determination for devotional service. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, the determination for devotional service will not take place. What was Prabhupada's determination? He wanted to satisfy spiritual master. That was overruling everything. And he spread Krishna consciousness all over the world in 11 years. That's a symptom of bhava. Yes. But okay. This is an introduction that tomorrow I will speak on another part of the book. But this is very important that we understand how we enter the purification of the heart. that and what the symptoms are. Maybe a last question that just, yeah, after presentation we have an exam, so we'll ask you a question. That, I asked that question yesterday also. I brought it up during morning class. That's, so if you chant the holy name, you chant 16 rounds. You are studying in devotional service, you attend the morning program. That so does that mean you are in um, you are chanting in Namabas?
No.
You maybe study. So in Bhajana Kriya, you have Anishta and Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. In Madhurya Kanambini, Anishtita, there are 6 symptoms of unsteadiness. It's not easy to become steady in the beginning. Bhakti Sharma had told us, when he joined Mayapur, at home he was used to sleep till 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then he had to go to get up at 4 o'clock. He was not used to that. But he said that the devotees were very merciful to me, and they made sure that I was lifted out of my sleeping bag. But then when you are steady, that does not mean that your chanting is in Namabas. What is the condition? Who brought us this holy name that 500 years ago? Erotic Shastakam, right? Trinata Pishnishni Taura Pisishna Manna Madana Kirtanya Sadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavata Vashi Kami Mama Chamamishpari Bhavta Bhaktirahait Gitvai. So you must be more humble than a straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all false prestige, ready to give all honor to others. In that state of mind, you can chant the holy name constantly, and then one must give up, one must not desire wealth or, or the opposite, or relations with the opposite sex or followers. One should not even desire liberation from birth and death, just wanting to serve Krishna. So these 2 verses, 6 3 and 4, they describe the character of one who is situated in Sambandha Jnana, who knows he's a servant of Krishna and not of the body. But to cultivate that, we must every day learn Bhagavatam, hear Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and discuss with each other. The Prabhupada gave us this morning, and that's sometimes problematic because today we see devotees getting initiation, and they are chanting in 16 rounds. They try to follow the 4 regulative principles, but they have no morning program. Then you cannot make spiritual advancement. You cannot come to Namabas. It's not possible. Prabhupada gave us everything, but we have to follow the whole package, not just the chanting. The chanting and the holy name and the hearing of the Bhagavatam is going together. That Bhagavatam itself says that. Not praise about the Suniti and Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavata Tamaske Bhakti Bhaktinaiski. By daily rendering, by daily attending a regular attendance of the class of the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all this troublesome to the heart is nearly completely destroyed. Means anartini vritti. take place. But if you chant with, if you hear, then you hear about Krishna. Then you learn what a devotee is, what is smooth, and how the devotional service should be promoted, in what mindset. And by that you come in Sambandha Gyan and you chant. And yes, you will become purified and get taste. That so that's important. Of course, there is also these 10 offenses and so on. That I explain these 10 offenses in the book, but also I speak a lot about this inner attitude we have to cultivate while chanting. And we will hear about that more tomorrow. Any questions? Yes?
Prabhuji. So you touched upon the surrender to Lord topic, Prabhuji. But in daily life, we know what is surrender, but we cannot able to actually practice surrender properly, right? Or do surrender. We always try to control ourselves, be it a professional life or personal life or kids or anything, or we fear for the same things. But we didn't how to cultivate that surrender.
It's good to have at home a morning program. If we don't come to hearing the Bhagavatam every day, we live a life in illusion. And that will continue like that. Surrendering means surrendering to the process of devotional service. Whether you are a Shriyasta or you are a Brahmachari or whatever we think we are, we need a morning program and an evening program. If we are not doing that, Prabhupada said reading 2 hours a day. If we are not doing that, we don't get the spiritual strength. Then illusion will captivate us. And we think the doer of activities. Krishna speaks about those who are the doer of activities, 327. Praktika yamana gun kamna sabsa ahankara vimuda kartim iti. So those who think they are the doing things, but things which are factually done by the modes of nature. They are vimuda super asses. We remain super asses. So yes, it's up to us. Papa said, what are you going to do about it? He gave us everything what to do. We are not doing it. It does not his fault. That it's our fault that we are in illusion. But we need also the guidance of a spiritual master. Spiritual master will teach us. Like I remember because I've also been a family man, 2 children, so the life. So I know what's family life. The day before my initiation, the Guru Maharaj called me, was in Mayapur, and said, Bhakta, look, what about marriage? I told him, I'm just coming out of a divorce, Guru Maharaj. It was too painful. I don't want it. And that was it. He never asked about it. 10 years later, 15 years later, he gave me some years. 18 years later. But yeah, I was in family life. I was getting up in the morning at 3:30, took a shower. And then I was driving to the Namhata Center, 15 kilometers. And there, Bhaktapol we were just with 2. We had the whole morning program from 4:30 till 5:45. And we did all the prayers, everything, and read also the Bhagavatam, one verse if purport. And then I was driving back, chanting my rounds, waking up my wife and children, get them to school and to work. And then I was working the whole day. That while working, I was doing input on a terminal of the computer. I was an accountant. Well, I did many things in my life. But and while doing the input, I had Bhagavad Gita with me, and I was memorizing verses. Therefore, I know all these verses today. I was just memorizing these verses. And sometimes you have difficulties in your work, and I was praying to Krishna, please help me. I'm doing it for you. And at noontime, I was chanting 4-5 rounds, and I was continuing, and I was taking prasadam. In the evening, I was cooking that, and then in the evening, I was chanting the balance of my rounds, and then I was cooking for Krishna to have prasadam next day. And after that, I was reading the Bhagavatam. Every day, 10 verses with purpose. I was reading them. That I was a busy man. I had a family. I had my work, but I was still reading. Then, and then after that, sleeping the next day. But it requires determination. If you say, "Oh, I stay in my bed till 6-7 o'clock, and then I'm going to work," no spiritual life. If you think I'm not going to offer my food to Krishna, no spiritual. You need determination to do these things. Therefore, once you take to devotional service, you have no time for anything. Too busy. Too busy. You always knows what to do. A devotee always knows what to do in devotional service. That if you have deities at home, you are busy the whole day. That if you do it seriously, that you are busy. So it's a question of priority. What is my priority? We do our duty for our family, but inside we are with Krishna. We know this family, so many families in previous lives. Nothing to do with them anymore, and soon I have nothing to do with them. I'm in the next body. And that's reality. If we are in illusion, yeah, we remain in illusion because we want to be in illusion. That's all. We want to be the controller. But to wake up, you must hear the Bhagavad. You must hear from self-realized souls that we are not in illusion. They can bring you out of illusion by speaking, by instructing. Anyway, that's my sermon. I don't know if it is effective. Let me know. Something else. Good. Thank you very much. That Srila Prabhupada ki Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada.
His Holiness Bhakti Prabhu Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you so much, Maharaj. It's such an enlightening class. Hare Krishna devotees. We have Maharaj class tomorrow and day after. We continue. Maharaj told that in Harinama Chintamani. Going to go deep in. Tomorrow's program is at 6:30 p.m. in Fort Mill, and day after tomorrow is going to be in Jagannath Niwas. So I know it is in South, but today Maharaj told determination. Please have the determination, and then we are just 30 minutes away. Please try to come and then take association of Maharaj. This is going to be a very ecstatic series because it will help us to have deeper devotion and how to chant and go to the level of move from Nama Prat to Nama Bas and then. Thank you, Maharaj. Nectarian class.
Maharaj also agreed to speak on Bhakti on Thursday morning.
Oh.
So that is another class we can.
Oh, Thursday morning. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Now we can have.
It's temple relationship.
Yeah, we'll have Narsingharati and then.
Narsingharati girls, please. Young girls. All together, yeah. Morning. Oh, Narasimha, Narasimha. Yato, yato, ya. Narasimha. Narasimha. Narasimha.
नरसिंहदेव भगवान की भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की भक्त वृंद की श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Baba, no, it's better than best.